Welcome back to Weird Hi-Fi. Making some great progress, peoples. Um, about 5.5 hours, maybe 6 in total, making all of the templates that I'm going to go over here in a second. And some of it is, I have some rust and some cobwebs after not doing this for, probably 10 plus years. And some of it is just, you're working through problems, you're ensuring that you're working ahead a few steps for the future build. You got to think, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps ahead to where you're not making something that you ultimately have to scrap, which unfortunately I've had to do that before once or twice. And, everything. And I wanted to make sure that, everything, all the fits, all the finishes that is spot on. So, what you see here right now is there's three top templates. This is going to be a trim, pieces of a trim that ultimately will sit flush with the baffle, and it'll make more sense when I actually start making the loudspeaker itself. But this guy right here goes all the way to the very top edge of this perfectly. So it's a perfectly flush line, and whenever this is stacked up, it will sit flush with this piece on the actual loudspeaker itself. So there's a left and a right. Underneath the left and right is another two pieces, a left and a right, that is exactly like this guy, but it goes all the way to the top. Once again, this extra piece, I won't need all of this, but this gives me flexibility whenever I start stacking layers, that from this edge back, it'll have a nice rise and I'll be able to taper that up. And this gives me the ability to do so. And as you can see though, and unfortunately, let me get this thing straightened up a little bit because it's just sitting on top of each other. They're perfect copies of each other. And that gap between the baffle and the sides is perfect. So here's your left, here's your right. You can see the center holes for where the mid basses are going to be. Then there are two more pieces. This piece, exact dollar diameter, exact same width here and in here. Difference being is it's 3/4 wider here than on the bottom one. The bottom one is modeled to give me the correct airspace that I need. And I do need that extra bit of 3/4. If you add that up, all the layers, that's a lot of airspace. But I need the 3/4. So when this guy gets glued in place, I can glue it here. I have a 3/4 landing point here and up here. And then whenever this bad boy gets glued in, boom, it's completely sealed. So there's that. Once again, perfectly routed on the outside, extended on the top because these will get stacked. Last piece of the puzzle is this guy. Exact outer dimensions. Smaller width here, once again, to give me the airspace. What you're going to notice, though, are notches around. And that's what's ultimately going to do is going to allow me to implement a cross brace. Here's my vertical piece. I have a cross brace here and a cross brace there that I'll get to integrate into this mid-bass cabinet once I actually start building, and it'll make more sense a little bit later on too as well. But pretty dang cool. It's all working out super nice. Everything is perfect. There's no deviations, no gaps. Everything is an exact copy of each other. Everything fits super nice, and I can stack this better, but I am super pumped. Realistically, the only thing left from a template standpoint is, and I won't do this until later on, there'll be a trim ring that hides the screws and will make the driver flush for the mid basses. And then when I cut the hole for the passive radiators on the side, I'll do the same thing there. And I'll make those a little bit later on down the road. But realistically, this thing's ready to go. I'll got a lot of MDF to chew through. I think I figured about 6 sheets of 3/4 will roughly get me what I need to build the mid-bass cabinets. Anyway, hope you dig it. Thanks for joining me again, and check me out at weirdhifi.com. Talk to you, peeps.